In your family of origin, it may have been true. In our own family, it's true. I think it's true in most families that at many different times of the day, family members find that place where they can maintain a degree of solitude in their homes. That place apart, if you will. In a room, in the workshop, in the craft room, in the basement maybe. A place for that second cup of coffee, the man cave, the playroom. I know that these days we can all be in the same room and still be off by ourselves into our own devices, which I suspect isn't a very good thing. But it is a good thing to be able to have our own place in our own homes. And my guess is that all of us can remember a place in our homes where we enjoyed being by ourselves. A luxury, really. We may not think too much about the luxury of solitude when so much of the world is crowded in. But one place that stands out is the place where I know I remember, and maybe you remember too, where we are often, usually, together in our homes, is in the kitchen. The kitchen is a together kind of room. If there is one place where let the little children come to me is the order of the day in our homes, it's probably the kitchen. Kids, parents, visitors, family in the kitchen. Hey, let's go into the family room. No, we'll stay here in the kitchen. Being received. Being together. Back in the day in our house, there were two words that got shouted into the air most every evening, like a call to worship that would call us to the table in the kitchen. They are the words that were spoken pretty much every evening when my family used to gather for a meal. A few minutes before the food was to be set out on the table, my mother would come to the top of the steps or to the back door and shout, "Wash hands! Wash hands!" Those words were liturgical words in our house. They made things happen. We all have those kind of words in our homes, right? They make things happen. Words that get spoken over and over again and therefore get etched into our hearts where they stay forever. The liturgy of our home life. The way we greet each other. Hey, Dad. The way we say goodnight. I love you. See you later, alligator. And sometimes the way we say goodbye. My mom used to say, "Wash hands," at dinner time, because that was what she wanted us to do. But those words became significant. Even saying them today calls to mind our kitchen in the old house. Of course, at the time those words were being shouted into the home atmosphere, the whole house would often groan. We groaned when we heard those words because we knew they were calling us to action, and to stop what we were doing, to leave the important things that were going on. Dad would have to climb out from underneath the car. My older sister would have to stop practicing the piano finally. My brother would have to put down the guitar, and I would have to stop dutifully doing my homework. Or maybe watching Captain Tug on television. You have to be old to remember Captain Tug. Or playing freeze tag in the backyard. Wash hands! Wash hands, two liturgical words that called us together. Eventually we would all straggle in after having in fact washed our hands to sit around the table, sitting there acting a little put upon, like we were doing our mother a huge favor, blessing her with our presence after she had spent the last however long preparing the meal we were about to eat. Wash hands called us out of our solitude, our separate lives, into our corporate family life. Wash hands gathered us all around the table. They were so ordinary, those words, almost annoying at the time. But now I remember my mom shouting those words to us like the Hebrew children may have remembered their homeland as they sat by the waters of Babylon. Love to be able to hear those words again. You know what? At our table, here is something that never ever happened after those words were spoken and called us together. We would never ever start a meal if one of the places at that table that had been set was still empty. It is inconceivable to me and to you, I suppose, too, to think that after we had responded to wash hands and a place was still empty at the table, that we would just go ahead with our dinner time liturgy and say the family grace. I don't know where he is. Let's just get started without him. I'm hungry. No. There was an empty space around that table. That meant that something was wrong. Someone was in the house, but for whatever reason, had not come to the table. The response to wash hands, you see, wasn't really optional. The family would not just go ahead if there was an empty seat. Instead, someone would be dispatched to see what was up, to gather the lost, to bring them home. Sometimes it was just a nap that hadn't quite ended. Sometimes someone was pressing the edge. Just a minute, I'm on my last life. But sometimes there was something up. Sometimes there was something keeping one member of the family from wanting to be with the rest. We all know what those somethings can be. But it was never okay in our family, just like yours, I'm sure, for us to begin the meal until everyone was there, all seats filled. And more often than not, the meal and our time around the table would begin to redeem whatever had been wrong and reweave the family back together again. Important news could be shared around the table while the beef stroganoff was being placed on the hot pads. A simple question, what's up, could be asked around the table while the green beans were being passed. Healing could begin around the table while we picked at our salads. Sometimes anger would break out of its prison around the table, causing one of us maybe to leave for a moment or two, but allowing us all to know that it was there when we wouldn't have even known otherwise. Laughter would erupt around the table unbidden as the mashed potatoes fell into the milk glass, clearing the air of its tension, perhaps. So much can happen around the table. And so, on this World Communion Sunday, I'd like to suggest that God has called us here to this table. We have received the call to wash hands that pulled us out of our beds, away from our newspaper, back home from some time away. We are gathered here to let the table do its magic, like tables can often do. But unless all of us are around this table, we are incomplete. And isn't there a sense in which all of us who could be around this table really never are? Isn't there always room for one more? Don't you imagine there's someone out there who is hungry for the community of this table? Not here yet. Should we start? Isn't it possible, if not likely, that there is someone out there in despair this morning who doesn't even know about the hope of this table? They haven't gotten here yet. Should we start? I'm just sure there are a few someones out there who aren't totally sure that they even believe in God, but who might be nourished by the acceptance of this table, but just aren't here yet. Should we start? And I know there can be no doubt that there are folks out there who are feeling crushed by guilt and the burden of their lives and would be transformed by the forgiveness of this table. They haven't arrived yet. But maybe we'll go ahead and start. So this week on World Communion Sunday, during a time when the world family can seem to be and is so divided, let's all remember Jesus invites everyone to the table. Let's go ahead and keep an empty chair around this table to remind us that someone is out there on their own, open perhaps to the invitation to wash hands and come in for supper. Maybe one of us can go out, go ahead and try and find it.